afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the last touchdown club of the year. You having a hard time hearing, Dickie? You ever thought about getting a hearing aid? Okay. Can you hear now?
It's not on. Got to switch.
What about now?
It's on.
It's on. Can you hear now? Yeah. All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the last touchdown club of the year. I'm going to call on Dr. Chuck Williamson for the invocation. Chuck.
Let's pray. Father God, we come before you on today. We thank you for another opportunity to come together as a touchdown club, Lord God, to honor these young men and women, Lord God. We thank you for the touchdown club and the service it provides to high school athletes in Anderson County. We thank you for the board, Lord God. We pray that you continue to bless them, Lord God, with resources and everything they need to be successful as a board. Thank you for every athlete. We thank you for their accomplishments. We thank you that you will continue to bless them as they move forward. Lord God, we pray for their coaches and their principals, Lord God. We pray that decisions continue to guide their safety, Lord God. We thank you right now for protecting us from sickness, hurt, harm, and danger as we move forward. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chuck. Stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Be seated. All right, for the Gary Harper Memorial Pick'em Contest, we've got Kevin Selmon. It's always good to have him because when we have him making the presentations, we know he didn't win.
Good afternoon. Week 7, we had 22 pick'em players. The last man standing game of the week, the first pick on the sheet was number 1 Clemson at number 4 Notre Dame. 21 out of 22 of us, got it wrong. The only person in the room to pick the Irish, Dickie Smith. I know it. The upsets, according to the pick sheet, were Notre Dame over Clemson, Liberty over Virginia Tech, Florida over Georgia, and Indiana over Michigan. There were a few interesting picks. Last week, we only had one person get all the high school games right. This week, we only had 4 out of 22 get them right. That's Cobb Oxford, Bill Brissy, Dallas Jones, and Ralph Little. There were a couple of unanimous picks. All 22 of us picked Hanna to beat Hillcrest. All 22 got it right. Let's see. Last week, Texas A&M beat South Carolina 48-3, as expected, which is an easy pick, right? 21 out of 22 of us got it right. Billy Epps, you here? He's not here. Okay. Well, he picked the Gamecocks. Last week, number 10, Miami beat NC State. 21 out of 22 got it right. Cobb Oxford did not, but he's not here to defend himself. David Drazen, are you here? All right. Good. Appreciate that. Wave back there to Coach Evans and the Crescent Tigers. They defeated Dixie 34-0. Everyone in the room picked Crescent, but you. As far as the breakdown goes, we had 3 players at 15-5, 9 at 14-6, our most common record, 4 at 13-7, and it went south from there. At 10-10, in a league of his own, our loser of the week and recipient of a custom-made porcelain turlet, compliments of Cobb Oxford and Oxford Farms, is Mr. Jim Mills. There you go. Congratulations. Now, our $50 winner of the week, also in a league of his own at 16-4. Everybody's going to be shocked with this. Our former president, Bill Brissy. Yeah, congratulations.
I'll go to the house paper and do that. Just don't come in, roll.
There you go. Now for our yearly winners, Mr. Tommy Price is going to come up here and present for us.
Well, I would like to thank everyone for this year. Before I get started, I made a comment back in March. I said, I hope we have football. And somehow or another, you coaches, we pulled it off. People thought I was drunk as a coot when I said that, but this virus is scary. How many, just out of curiosity before I start, how many senior players and parents do we have here today? Take this from somebody that's been there. Win, lose, or draw tonight in the playoffs, enjoy every last second that child's on the field. Because when it's over, it's the hardest day of your life. I will assure you that. So enjoy every moment of it. Now, for the Gary Harper Memorial Pick'em Yearly Contest Awards. Well, we know one's got to stand up. If y'all are a loser this year and want a turlet, please stand up. Go ahead, Dickie.
He's only got to stand once.
Now, Dickie, Kevin said you've only got to stand up one time. So, and he picked against the Tigers too, I tell you. All right, if you want a $50 prize this year, please stand up when your name is called and remain standing. Here again, Dickie, just stay down. Our weekly winners, week number 1 was Cobb Oxford. Week number 2, Mr. Kevin Selmon. Week number 3 was Scott Drake. Week number 4 was Kevin Selmon. You want Dickie to stand for you?
Please.
Week number 5 was our Presidente, Chris Sullivan. Week number 6, Josh Abels. And week number 7, Mr. Bill Brissy. Let's give a round of applause to all these guys. Now for our yearly winners. Remember, your top 6 weeks count toward your yearly win totals. If you participate in all 7 pick'em weeks, you get to drop your lowest week. If you're interested to see how you stacked up against our winners, Nancy will be putting out copies of our top 12 when I'm done up here. If you don't see your name, you didn't crack the top 12, so do better next year. It looks like we're going to recognize the best looking winner first. The third place winner, $50 this year, Miss Dallas Jones. Thank you, young lady. Good job. That's obvious, Dallas. You made one bad pick when you picked him, so we'll forgive that one. We had a tie for first this year, so they'll split the first place $150 and second place of $100. Our yearly first place winners are Kevin Selmon and Josh Abels. Congratulations, Josh. I know he had picked them all for you, but again, we'd like to thank everybody for another great year. This has been a challenging year, to say the least, for any of us, and this is the biggest crowd we've had. As Chris said, back in the summer, we didn't even know if we'd pull off the Touchdown Club this year. We'd like to say thanks to Tucker's and all this. It's been a great place to have it. Remember to like our Facebook page, and good luck to all you players and coaches tonight, and you parents enjoy every last minute of it.
Congratulations, all you winners and losers there. And we got a great crowd here today, but Greg, who's been filming this every week, told us we had like 1,300 people watch last week, either live or on YouTube. So that's been a real success Appreciate you doing that, Greg. All right, now for that moment that we all look so forward to every week. The players of the week, the coach of the week, the jokes of the week. None other than Coach Jim Fraser.
Thank you, George. George, am I ending that thing? Thank you. I'm finishing 27 years of doing this. Can y'all hear me back there? They must not been saying that. Finishing 27 years, and not only are the players getting bigger, faster, and stronger, but these bevy of beauties are getting much, much prettier. You might say we're surrounded, DeAndre, by pulchritude. Pulchritude, female comeliness. Glad to have you ladies here. Let me buzz through a couple of JV jokes. It would be hard to get through the year without hitting on a couple of Rodney Dangerfields. Rodney says his mama says, Mama, the ice cream truck is here. Let's go get some ice cream. She said, how do you know the ice cream truck is here, son? I hear the bell ringing, Mama. I hear the bell ringing. That means they're out, Rodney. That means they're out. Rodney says his wife signed him up for the bridge club, and he jumps next week. So, I got to pick it up here, Tim. This is a tough crowd, y'all gonna find out. So, this meathead football coach was trying to get into heaven, and he was accosted by St. Peter. And St. Peter says, what is it you do? He says, I coach. Now, what kind of coaches are you? A voice coach? A music coach? No, he says, I'm a ball coach. Okay, you're a ball coach. So do you have any example of your work? No. He says, well, everybody that comes here gives an example of their work. Beethoven hummed part of his unfinished symphony. Darwin talked about his origin of species. Einstein talked about read a chapter of his theory of relativity. And what is it that you've got to offer? And the coach says, Einstein, Darwin, Beethoven, who are all those guys? What did they coach? And of course, St. Peter let him in with no problem there. That was the joke. Let's get right to our offensive co-player of the week, J.J. Hudson from Hanna. Oh, J.J.'s 5'9", and he's run over these opposing teams like one of those old Hudson airplanes of long, long ago. Some of you met you. He's 5'9", 175 pounds, a running back and a senior. He had 16 carries for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. As Hanna won the region championship by beating Hillcrest 31-16. Congratulations, J.J. J.J. is accompanied by his position coach, Coach McCauley, and by his mom, Tanya. Please stand up, Tanya, and let us welcome you. Thank you. We've also got DeAndre Brown from Pendleton. DeAndre's a wide receiver. He's a senior. He's 5'10", 185 pounds. DeAndre had 5 receptions for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also caught the game-winning TD with a minute left, and that was about a 72-yarder, I think. Very exciting play. Pendleton beat Pendleton. Pendleton beat Seneca 23-19. With DeAndre, we've got his position coach, Jordan Williams. We've got his mom, Audrey, and I think I taught Audrey at Hanna High School. I'll take credit for it if I didn't. Please stand up, Audrey. Also, with DeAndre is original God of soul, his granddaddy, James Brown. Run up here, James. We've got 2 offensive linemen. We've got Chip Pendergrass from Hanna. Old Chip was up here a couple of times last year. He's a small guy, 6'4", 275 pounds. He's a tight end. He's a junior. He had 7 pancake blocks and graded out at 90%. He also had a catch for a touchdown. As Hanna won the region championship over Hillcrest, 31-16. With Chap, we've got his position coach, Coach Powell. My good buddy, Cap Powell. Can't think of your first name right now. He's also got his parents, Ansley and Brian. Ansley, you and Brian stay up. Keep standing, Ansley. Ansley, stand back up. I saw Ansley out at Dillard's a while ago. I said, I'm going to make you stand up, please, though. I said, as pretty as you are, everybody wants to see you. Also, offensive lineman, Malik Pickens. He's from Melton Honey Path. Malik's another small chap, 6'4", 275 pounds. He's a senior tackle. He had 6 knockdown blocks and graded out at 87%. And BHP beat Palmetto 52-18. Malik Pickens, congratulations. We've got 2 defensive players. We've got Darian Holland, he's from Pendleton. He's 5'9", 175-pound cornerback. He's a senior. Had 10 tackles, 4 pass breakups, graded out at 90%. Also, he doubled up as a running back, rushing 7 times for 87 yards, and had a punt return for 25 yards. So that's quite an accomplishment. He played 151 snaps in this Pendleton win over Seneca. Great going there, DeAndre Doran. With Doran, we have his position coach, Darrell Henrick, and his mother, Mary Tiffany Matthews. Got that right. Stand up, please, Tiffany. Thank you. Also, Shannon Scotland is from Wren. He is 6'3", 205. Outside linebacker, he's a senior. Had 9 tackles, 6 assists, 4 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, 3 pass breakups, and 5 quarterback hurries. As Wren beat Powdersville, their rival, 55-19. This guy here is the state champion in the high jump, and he is committed to play football and do track at UNC Charlotte. Way to go there, Mr. Scotland. With Cheyenne, we've got Coach Jeff Tate, and we've got his mom, Danielle Miller. Did I get that right, Danielle? Stand up, please. I can't hear you. We've got a defensive lineman from Crescent, Cameron General, 6 feet, 175 pounds. He's a sophomore. Had 4 tackles, 2 assists, 1 tackle for loss, and 3 sacks. Had 3 quarterback pressures and graded out at 90%. As Crescent stormed over Dixie 34-0. With Mr. Cameron Gentleman, we've got his position coach Jeff Jordan. We've got his dad Shane, and his mom Corey. But I can't read this. Stepmother Crystal. Okay. Mother's Lana. Grandfather's Lonnie. Sorry, guys, and stand up, please. Appreciate it. Happy to give the Coach of the Week award to my good buddy Russell Blackster, a good guy for the Touchdown Club. He's been 21 years at BHP and does a great job over there. So Russell, come up here. Coach of the Week. Tonight we've got some important playoff games and just regular games. BHP entertains Emerald. Westside entertains Irmo in a playoff game. Wren goes to Fairfield Central down in by Winsboro. Powdersville goes to Chapman, and Pendleton entertains Southside. Blacksburg goes to Crescent goes to Blacksburg, and Palmetto goes to Woodruff. So, as I say, this is our last week, guys, and we want the very best for y'all. Y'all hang in there, keep winning those games, and we'll have you around for the banquet, I hope. Let's share it for these guys. Thank you.
You did. That's good. Congratulations. Congratulations, all you winners. All right, we've got a couple of special presentations we're going to make now. Our president, Chris Sullivan, is going to do a special presentation, and then he's going to introduce the homecoming queens. Come on up, Chris.
Thank you, George. So today we had something happen this past weekend that I don't know this happened in a long time, so I talked to Nancy. Like, we need an award for that. So we came up with an award. I don't know how many people will win this award, but this past weekend, as some of y'all might have saw on the news, but Wren won, and Coach Jeff Tate won his 100th game. So we have made a new award, the 100 Win Club. So congratulations to Coach Jeff Tate from Wren High School on achieving 100 wins. November 6, 2020. No, that's right, that's right. Okay. Y'all still here? Mike still working good? Y'all got me? Okay. All right. So today is one of my favorite days of the Touchdown Club. While our primary goal is to recognize the players and the coaches in Anderson County, we also love to recognize the tradition that makes Friday nights in the fall so special for us. You have the players, the coaches, the bands. Used to be you had the fans. That'll be back one day, hopefully soon. But there's always that one special game where you celebrate homecoming. A quick informal poll. Who out here remembers the homecoming queen from their senior year? I don't know if all the homecoming queens can see that. Homecoming queens are a legendary spot in your high school memories. Everybody always seems to remember their homecoming queen. I was class of '89 at Hanna. Lisa Mattress was our homecoming queen. We're going to get an Outkick the Coverage award for that one, I think. But you almost look at one of your password reset questions. It's like, what road did you grow up on, or what car did you drive? One of them should be, who is your homecoming queen your senior year? Because that's something everybody seems to know. But this time I'm going to recognize the queens. I'm going to go through them, read a little bit about them. When I announce your name, if you can kind of start up and stay on this area. And we're going to do a picture at the end. So we got a couple that are out and one is quarantined. So I'm going to go through what I've got here. But the first one is Leah Longton from Wren High School. Leah is the daughter of Tyler and Melanie Longton. She is a member of the track and tennis teams. She is the student council historian and National Honor Society vice president. She works at Sunset, Slush, Italian Ice, and participates in church activities at New Spring and Mount Pisgah. After graduation, Leah would like to attend the College of Charleston or Clemson University to obtain a degree in public health, then to attend MUSC to fulfill her aspirations of becoming a physician's assistant for dermatology. With her, we also have her mom, Melanie, with us today. So give a warm round of applause, please. All right, next up is Belton Honeypath, Madison Watson, right here. Madison is the daughter of Terry and Michelle Watson. She is a 2021 Palmetto Fellow and is currently first in her class. She's in her 7th year as a varsity competitive cheerleader and was a member of the 2019 4A state championship team. She is a member of the National Honor Society, Beta Club, and Student Council. She's a member of the All-Star Cheer Team, the Beatles, and is a 2019-2020 Triple Crown champion and a 2019 World Champion. Madison plans to attend college to pursue a degree in biochemistry. So please welcome Madison, and her mom, Michelle, is with us today. Okay, next, go to West Side, Brooklyn Jones. Brooklyn is the daughter of Ty McGee. She is a varsity cheerleader, a member of the National Honor Society and Beta Club, and a third-year health science student at the Career Center. She's employed at Chick-fil-A. Brooklyn plans to attend a 4-year college to major in pediatric nursing. With her, she has her uncles Alexander McGee and Brandon McGee. If y'all could stand and let us recognize you. Oh, and the mom, Ty McGee. I'm sorry, the most important person I missed. Oh my gosh. Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming. Let's see, we have one in quarantine. I'm going to read it because I think she deserves it. But Lindy Reed is Powdersville High School's homecoming queen. She's the daughter of Janet and Chad Reed. She's been a member of the Powdersville dance team for 6 years. She is a team captain this year and was a co-captain last year. She has been taking dance for the past 14 years. She has been on the student council for 2 years. After graduation, Lindy would like to attend Clemson University to major in sociology and try out to be a rally cat. So if y'all give her a round of applause, even though she's not here. All right, now, TL Hanna High School, Deja Timms. Deja is the daughter of Shirley Murray and William Murphy. She is on the track and lacrosse teams. She's a member of the Key Club, Interact Club, Friends Without Borders, and Student Council. She works at Quick Trip, and Deja would like to play lacrosse at a 4-year college and major in criminal justice. With her is her mom, Shirley Murray. Please stand. All right, now Palmetto. Allison McCauley. Allison is the daughter of Melody Smith and Chris McCauley. She's on the cross country and track teams. She's a member of the Beta Club, National Honor Society, and Student Body Vice President. She's involved with the youth group at church and continually works on training for cross country and track. Allison has received a full scholarship to Newberry College and will be on the cross country and track teams, majoring in pediatric nursing. And with her is the Assistant Athletic Director, Deborah Owens, if you'll please stand. Thank you. So we have 2 we did not hear back from, so unfortunately we don't have them all here, but we're glad the ones we do have, and thanks for all you do.
Congratulations, ladies. Good job, Chris. Recognizing the homecoming queens is a tradition that our old president, Bill Brissy, started. So let's give him a big round of applause for starting that tradition. Okay, we got an unusual situation here. Last week, Tim Ray was supposed to be our speaker. He ended up going up to the Notre Dame game, so he couldn't be our speaker last week, but he's back today to introduce our speaker this week. And he also, I want to point this out to you, he's got several of his books that he's written with him. And he'll be glad to autograph one of those for you if you want to buy one of those today, too. Books about the national championship season in 2016. Is it just, you're right. Okay, Tim, come on up.
Well, thanks very much. It's great to be here. As many of you know, I retired in the summer of 2018. Still helping out in the department, doing the color on the radio. But I was one of the people charged with picking my successor. So we reviewed the resumes, and we got one from this guy who was from the university, went to the University of Missouri, magna cum laude graduate, and many of you know Missouri is probably the best communication school in the country. And then he'd worked for the Washington Redskins for the last 7 years, including the last 4 years as director of communications. And I looked at that as a real positive, even though the Redskins hadn't done very well. In fact, to throw a little stat at you, during the time that our speaker, Ross Taylor, was there, the Redskins won 46 games. In 2.5 years at Clemson, the Tigers have won 36 already, so he's almost going to hit that total. So then I interviewed Ross, and we found that we had a lot of similarities in our philosophy. In this day and age, really, the Sports Information Office is almost like two separate offices. You have the social media aspect, and then you have the nuts and bolts aspect of sports information, doing the stats, setting up interviews, and he and I had the same, beliefs along those lines. So right after he left, I called Coach Sweeney, and I said, "Coach, we've got the guy to replace me. You can go ahead and interview all the other guys, but this is the guy who needs to get the job," and he's done a great job since he's taken over. I was a little bit envious of him, though, in that Clemson won its first 29 games. He never had to call players for interviews after a loss, and until the curse of the number 29 at Clemson got him. If you don't know what that is, come see me after the banquet. But in his first 2 years, his office has been named to the Super 11 team. Each year, the Football Writers Association picks the top 11 sports information offices in the country, and each of the first 2 years, Clemson has won that award. So he's done a great job. We're very proud of him, and going to be interested to hear what he has to say. Ross Taylor.
Everybody hear me okay? Good. First of all, I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank the Anderson Area Touchdown Club for the opportunity to speak today. I had to laugh a little bit about the timing. 2.5 years ago, I became only the third person to serve in my position at Clemson since 1955. The two that preceded me are Hall of Famers and legends. Bob Bradley has his name in the Ring of Honor at Memorial Stadium, and Tim's, I'm sure, will join his up there sometime in the next decade. So I hope you'll pardon my amusement when I looked and saw who the speaker was last week and who I got to follow as the featured speaker. And sure enough, y'all had the temerity to put me behind Danny Stinkin' Ford. There's an old adage in coaching, never be the guy who follows the legend. Apparently, I'm the guy who exclusively follows legends. So perhaps the only solace I can take is that, Coach Ford won his national championship at age 33, and I snuck mine in 4 days before turning 30. But speaking candidly, it's an honor for me to speak here today because I get to speak about something I've loved my whole life, as well as something that I've come to love within the last few years. The former is the game of football, obviously, but the latter is upstate South Carolina. So it's really, truly a privilege to speak to a group that loves and appreciates both. So to understand those two loves kind of begs a bigger question. How in the world does a kid from Dallas, Texas, end up in the passenger seat of one of the greatest rides in the 150-plus year history of the great game of college football? And as it does with most dreams, it starts with an early bedtime. growing up in Dallas, I had the opportunity to have all four major sports right in our backyard. And there were two sports in particular that I gravitated to, football and hockey. And with football, it was easy. Get to come home in the 90s, you come home from church, Dallas Cowboys are on at noon with a rare exception when they're on Monday Night Football. Flip on Pat Summerall and John Madden, watch the triplets Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin go to work, win 3 championships in 4 years. But something was a little different with the Dallas Stars of the NHL, and that games weren't always at noon right after church. They're usually 7:30 at night, and when you're a young kid, that means you're not catching a lot of third periods. So what happened? So I would go to bed, I would turn on the radio, WBAP 8:20 a.m., and a little clock radio right next to my bed. Listen to the latter part of games, would inevitably fall asleep before it ended. What I didn't realize, it was sowing seeds of my love for sports broadcasting, sports journalism, in addition to my love for sports. So I would, listen to the intricacies and how they would paint a picture, and fell in love with broadcast that way. But then I would fall asleep before the game ended, and sure enough, I'd have to wake up in the morning and read about what happened. We'd get the Dallas Morning News out from the front yard. Dallas Morning News, which for those who don't know, was just an absolute powerhouse of a sports page in the 80s and 90s. Those of you who saw the documentary Pony Excess and the ESPN 30 for 30, well aware that the existence of the Dallas Morning News may very well have put SMU into the situation they were in the 80s. That's probably not fair, SMU put themselves there. But I came to love the sports page as well. Cover to cover, being able to read people telling great stories about sports, talking about athletes, painting the picture of the event and what happened. So at any point in my childhood, if you asked what I wanted to do for a living, I wanted to be one of 3 things. I either wanted to be a play-by-play announcer, I wanted to be a producer deciding which shots were ending up on the broadcast, or I wanted to be a sports writer at the Dallas Morning News. At 18 years old, I got a piece of my dream. Coming out of high school, I'd been a student journalist, and I got a job for 10 weeks as an intern, as a general assignment reporter for the Dallas Morning News and their sports department. I had a boss with the Redskins tell me once, though, internships are good for 2 things, figuring out what you want to do and figuring out what you don't want to do. And what I loved about my time at the Dallas Morning News, I still loved the process. I loved talking to people. I loved piecing everything together and trying to chronicle events, trying to tell great stories. But there were also many parts of that business that were very difficult. I worked with several people who were very cynical, a lot of folks who no longer love sports, something I couldn't fathom. I worked with folks that were tired of working triple and quadruple headers from high school press boxes on Thanksgivings. And then obviously the financial realities of the print media business were starting to rear their head as well. But one thing I found during my time there is I loved working with the public relations people at the different events and the different teams I was covering. They loved their athletes, they loved their sports. They were passionate about getting great stories told. There was no cynicism, and so it was one of those things that I filed away of, that's something I could be passionate about. So what did I do? I went on to the University of Missouri in the School of Journalism, the world's first. There were degree programs, journalism degree programs that preceded it, but no specific School of Journalism before it. Celebrated my centennial while I was at Missouri. Studied journalism, worked across newsrooms, did some print, did some TV, did a lot of radio. Kind of honing those skills, but knowing in the back of my mind, hey, I think I want to work with the team and I think I want to work with the athletes directly to help tell their stories. So during my time there, I applied for internships and was fortunate enough to land one with the Washington Redskins in the summer of 2010. Finished my degree in the fall of 2010 at Missouri, ready to go take on the world, and the NFL went into a lockout. Nobody was hiring. So I spent 6 months. At a public relations firm in St. Louis, kind of biding my time, and I was about 2 weeks away from going to intern to the Fiesta Bowl. I was going to drive out to Scottsdale, and with about 2 weeks before that, my former boss with the Redskins called, "Hey, this lockout's ending. Camp starts in 4 days. How soon can you get here? We got a job for you." I would never make it to the Fiesta Bowl until last December, and I have to say my experience last December far exceeded what my internship would have been. So I spent 7 seasons at the Washington Redskins, had some highs, had quite a number of lows during my time there, before I had the opportunity to follow in Tim's footsteps here at Clemson in the summer of 2018. But I remember my first season, one of our marquee players came up to me, and he was incredulous. He was probably a couple months into my tenure. He said, "Why would you leave the NFL? I don't get it." Well, I told him, I was grateful for the opportunity I had in Washington. the amount I learned, the amount I experienced, the amount I saw and grew is irreplaceable. And I met tremendous people while I was there, a group of people that, while we are live streaming, the record should reflect includes my wife, Kelly. But beyond the fact that college football just kind of runs in my blood and was a love of ours, my father attended the University of Alabama. I had bet on brands my whole life. If I could work for the Dallas Morning News and see my name in print under that masthead, I was somebody. If I could graduate from the School of Journalism at the University of Missouri, I would be somebody. At 22 years old, if I can work for an NFL team and have that NFL shield behind my name, I was somebody. But you know what? At a certain point in 2018, I was done betting on brands, and I was ready to bet on people instead. And when they say there's something special in these hills, it's the people who reside here. If there was actually something special that was in these hills, I'm from Texas, we would have brought out an oil derrick, we would have drilled for it already. We talk routinely in our program about fixed mindsets versus growth mindsets, and sure enough, in the NFL, I would work with players on messaging, but I tell people that public relations advising is a lot like coaching, and the coaches in this room can probably attest to this. If they're asking for your help, they're probably in one of two categories. One, they're the ones who are the most conscientious and probably need the least amount of help. I think about Sean McVay, Kirk Cousins, Trevor Lawrence. They're the ones asking for help and probably don't need it because they're thinking about how they want to present themselves to the world. Or they're in another category, which is they're asking for help and it's way too late. A good PR guy is like a doctor or lawyer. No one really cares if you have a good one until you need it. So people would ask me and my wife what we did for a living, and I would tell them that she works for a genetics lab and she helps analyze genes to identify rare genetic disorders. I tell millionaires not to say dumb things on Twitter. Often by the time players made it to the NFL, their public identity and the way they interface with people was very much set. And we would try to advise as best we could, but there was a part of me that wanted to create positive change in people's lives, and I felt like it was being unfulfilled. So I felt like I was dragging guys against their will to commitments they didn't make, to make comments they didn't believe. Then came the opportunity to work with young people, and I tell you, it could not be more rewarding. And I couldn't be prouder to say, especially for the Clemson folks in the room, that the young people we have in our program are exactly the ones you want representing the university and representing this community as a whole. And that couldn't be more true about one of Anderson County's own and running back Darian Rencher, by the way. So despite the result last Saturday, as disappointing as it was, as Tim said, Clemson's now 36-2 in my tenure here. And I'm going to repeat that because it still blows my mind. 36-2. Every year our staff organizes and sequesters itself prior to the season for a full week, and we do program reinstallation and what Coach Sweeney calls all-in meetings, where we go over every single aspect of our program, and I mean that quite literally. Everybody reads word for word their job description. And I recall probably the biggest laugh I've ever gotten in a public setting whenever I spoke to them in 2019. I thank them for going 15-0 in 2018, not because it won me a national championship, but because it brought me to within 8 games of 500 for my career. A career that includes a tie in London, England, of all places, which I can tell you makes for a very weird transatlantic flight home. But whenever I review my 38 games here at Clemson, typically people want to talk about that gorgeous night in Santa Clara in January of 2019 to end the 2018 season. What I'll tell people routinely is that may have been my happiest moment, but it was not my proudest. You see, one of my proudest moments came in New Orleans, Louisiana, a year later, and it came on a night where half of the "and to" that's on my Clemson record got added. You see, as Tim mentioned, for the first 2 seasons, I did not have to ask anybody to do any media after a loss up until that final game. And for the first 2 seasons, coaches and staff would come by my office and make some small talk, and they'd bring up, hey, I saw this coach or this player at another program said this or insinuated this. Why would he do that? I don't get it. They'd be baffled why they would respond a certain way, and we'd talk shop and talk messaging and kind of what strategy and advice might have helped them to handle a situation in a better way. But I just reminded them, it's easy for me to say, 29 games in, and I've never had to ask somebody to do any media availability after a loss. One thing I believe firmly is that people always remember more vividly what you say in a time of trial than what you do in a time of success. The winningest head coach in my alma mater at Missouri, Gary Pinkel, once said, when you're winning, anybody can do it. But that moment for me came the night following our loss to LSU. But to a man, the young men in our locker room handled themselves impeccably. You know, they were immensely disappointed, but they congratulated and praised an outstanding LSU team that was deserving of that title. They took responsibility and accountability for their own play and their results, didn't blame any of their teammates, coaches, officials, anything like that. In that moment, Clemson and these players had an opportunity to show what they were about as people and what we're about as a program and as a region. They spoke with insight, they handled themselves with class, they didn't duck criticism or questions in a time of discomfort. You know, I may not carry that around like a championship ring, but you'll be darn sure I'll carry that with me forever. And it takes a village to create a program and a community like that. I'm honored to have some of the colleagues I've worked with and met along the way in attendance here as part of that village. Obviously, Tim here has been tremendously gracious to me and following in his footsteps, and is truly one of the heartbeats of Clemson football and what it's meant historically. Kevin Selmon has become a great friend of mine, working on our stats crew, helping out TV and radio, and I've cherished that friendship. Karen Blackman, who's here today, usually serving as TV official stats and working with us on our stat crew, and then who I'm going to call the mayor after seeing him shake all the hands today, Al Adams, who couldn't be a nicer, more generous human being. He just makes me smile every time I see him. It was football that brought us all together. There's no way I would have met Tim, Karen, Al, Kevin, anybody. Football brought us all together, and who they are as people is emblematic of what makes upstate South Carolina such a great place to live. Then I'd be remiss also if I didn't honor my parents, Pam and Phil Taylor, who are here today. So I'd love to say they came to hear me speak, but the truth is there's a 6-month-old granddaughter at home that I just happened to pull them away from. So I apologize for making this a little centric about my journey rather than just general story time about Clemson football, but among a group of people that have very deep roots in football and very deep roots in this community, it was important for me to provide that newcomer's perspective, so to speak, of what makes this area special and draws people to it. But it's also an important time for me to remind everybody at every opportunity we get, for those of us that are Clemson fans, we're not just proud of people because they wear the tiger paw. The old joke is that sports is just rooting for laundry. And don't get me wrong, Abe Reed and those folks have that laundry looking good, but if that's true, then I've failed greatly. My job is, it might be to tell you that Travis Etienne is one of only 12 players in the history of major college football to rush for 4,000 yards and catch 1,000 receiving yards in a career. But my calling is to point out how Cornell Powell, at a time where it could have been easy to transfer, it couldn't ever have been easier, stuck it out, played behind some great players, and now as a fifth-year senior is having a career year. It's to tell you that the most respected and beloved player in our locker room is not the guy with the golden hair wearing number 16. It's a walk-on running back from Anderson County who wears number 21. It's to tell you that Landon Zanders may look like Troy Polamalu out there and runs around in that same safety position, but the reason that hair is long is not because of Troy Polamalu. It's an honor to his grandmother who defeated cancer. So we love sports, not because we love counting the math on the scoreboard. If that was the case, I would have given up on it long ago, especially in the 7 years I was in Washington. But we love sports because they showcase the best of humanity. And so I hope, we have showcased the humanity of who we are as a program, and I hope we continue to make this community proud. So that's all the prepared remarks I have. Thank you so much for having me here, and go Tigers. I'll take whatever questions I can and make sure the compliance department doesn't get mad at me.
Do you have an injury report on some of the guys?
Yeah, but I think Tucker's is going to kick us out by the time we get done with it after that last game. No, we were very fortunate, and updates Coach provided on Monday. A lot of the folks, we're very fortunate to have a bye week this week. Really not a lot that should be long-term or structural or anything like that. But by and large, a lot of the folks, I was looking at who we had out there in second overtime on defense, and we were pretty deep into that travel roster. But fortunately, we look like we should be good to go against Florida State.
I have one more question. You think the Redskins will ever get another nickname?
I think they're looking right now, but the thing is, all the vultures have seen that change coming for 20 years, and pretty much every trademark you can think of is being held on to. Somebody's trying to gouge them out of some money. So we will see. I didn't realize all my stuff I brought back was going to become collector's items. I would have kept more of it. Anything else? All right. Thank you all.
Great job, Ross. Awfully good to have you here with us at Clemson now. You've reached the top. There's nowhere else to go now, is there? Okay. For some closing remarks, we have our president, Chris Sullivan. Come on up, Chris.
Sorry, I'll finish this up. I do have a piece of breaking news. I don't know who all follows local Anderson County high school basketball, but my daughter, who's supposed to be in class, just texted me that Bryce McGowan's committed to Nebraska. So if y'all seen him play, the guy, Chap, I think you've gone against the guy. He is amazing. He's one of the best players I've ever seen at Anderson. He drew a crowd, and he's going to play with his brother. So breaking news. Hope my daughter did not get in trouble for that. I wanted to kind of wrap things up. I was talking with Nancy, and there's a good chance this may be our year-end meeting. There's no place that'll take 100 people, and our annual meetings draw 400 or 500 people, but the Civic Center's not taking them. So unless something changes, some miracle happens and things open back up, I don't know that we're going to have an annual meeting. So I wanted to take this time to thank all the people that helped me this year. I know there's a lot of guests here, and y'all kind of get caught in the middle of a club deal, but I want to go through and first of all, George Ducworth, I think, is the voice of this club. He does a great job, and I thank him for staying on with me and doing what he does. Kevin Selmon does a great job with the Pick'em contest. It's also become an income stream for him, apparently, so we may have to do some auditing with all the voter irregularities here. Somehow you want half the things. Coach Fraser, it's a pleasure to sit beside a legend up here and see him. I mean, these jokes, 5-minute jokes he tells, absolutely no notes written down. He tells these things. Some of them, the JV jokes, I don't know. The varsity ones are much better, but love working with you. Nancy does an awesome job. They told me when I took over that this is a pretty easy deal. Just let Nancy do all the work. And the day after our annual meeting, the pandemic shuts down the schools, sports. We didn't know if we were going to have a club this year. We didn't have anybody want to take our club this year because of the size of it. So it has been not easy at all. But I'm glad we were able to pull this off. I think Tucker's. I don't think KD's around, but they agreed to take us on when nobody else would. So we appreciate them handling our group. And I think food's been good. They've done a good job with everything. So I appreciate them. Something new, and I want to mention to the homecoming queens as well. We this year, because we couldn't have all our membership here, we started looking around and finding a way to stream this live and do a video. So for all you players of the week and all you homecoming queens, we've got, you're live right now, right here. So you can go back and view that, and then Greg is going to do an edited version on this. But if I can get a round of applause for Greg Wilson for doing all this for us this season. Nancy, have I missed anything? Okay. It's right at 1 o'clock, so I want y'all to get out of here on time. But thank y'all so much for coming. Good luck to all the teams in the playoffs tonight, and hope to see you next year.